No gimmicks. Yeah. No gimmicks, taking over, no limits. Motivation, the truth inside everything you are hearing. Important live, know you feel it. Wrestling is everything that we won't know with special meaning. We on it live with no gimmicks. No gimmicks.
Hello, everyone. I am Todd Smith here with the No Gimmicks Podcast alongside my tag team partner, Dale Clifford, out there in Nevada. And unfortunately, we have some sad news that we would like to share with all of you. Dale, go ahead.
Yeah, a bit of tough news for a lot of us here on the West Coast in the indie professional wrestling scene when we had the sudden tragic loss of Virgil Flynn. He meant a lot to pretty much most people on the NorCal, Nevada wrestling scene. Me and you both had a chance to work with him. I know that in all of the instances I had, in some of the Reno shows, as I'll talk to a little bit, that we worked, he wasn't much known by the crowd here at the time. But, you know, by the time his matches were finished, man, that crowd was pumping. He had them going. He definitely turned them from a quiet crowd into a loud crowd. So that was just some of the things that he brought. And so he definitely will be missed inside the wrestling ring and outside of the wrestling ring. And I'm going to turn it back to you at this point, Todd.
Yeah, so joining us this evening on the No Gimmicks Podcast is one Mr. Bison Braddock. Bison, what's good, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Most definitely. So before we jump into the interview and actually kind of learn more about you and your career, we would like for you to share with us and our viewers your fondest memories of the late Virgil Flynn.
Yeah, I think I shook his hand in passing in several locker rooms before I actually got the chance to work with him. First time I worked with him was in, I think it was maybe a 6 or 8 man tag in a Hood Slam show that was actually in Reno. And later we did another tag match in SBW. And then when he got the Virgil Flynn Productions together, that's sort of when he started, like, you know, really working one-on-one with me. And he said he wanted to, like, use me as a baby face. And which he's one of the, other than the APW, he's one of the first people to start doing that. And I think my first singles match at Virgil Flynn Productions, he put me in the main event with Mike Rain and Anthony Rivera, and he would just give me all these opportunities and try to help me push me out of my comfort zone. He gave me a chance to work with Funny Bone, which was an awesome learning experience. Mm-hmm. I think the last match I had with Virgil was a singles match at Best of the West Wrestling. It was really cool because I was in there with him, and it was also reffed by Nuck Nuck, and both of them were talking to me throughout the match and, like, you know, talking to me about doing these little things to, you know, get the crowd behind me as a babyface, and, like, just the littlest things I could do that made the biggest differences as far as getting the crowd behind me. And yeah, man. He's just he's good at, like, seeing little things in people that he can sort of bring out to evoke more emotion like that and help, like, develop your character and all that stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Virgil was a good man. I don't think I could find one person who could say anything other than positive things about him. So, you know, in the spirit of Virgil Flynn, Virgil was an upbeat kind of a guy, and he was all about helping people and helping develop their careers and whatnot. So now we've had the opportunity to pay our respects. We're going to kind of turn the rest of the interview over to you and your career, Bison. So outside of that, also, I would like to know, you know, just kind of tell us a little bit about your training experience with the Reno Wrestle Factory.
Oh, man, I don't even know where to begin. When I first stepped into the Wrestle Factory, I remember first 2 people I saw was Luster the Legend and big Wrecking Ball Paul Isadora. And I was like, good first impression. I look at these 2 guys and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a freaking pro wrestling school right here.
You're like, I'm ready to get my ass kicked, huh?
Yeah. And it was so it was the Reno Scum, Adam Thornstowe, Luster Legend, Big Wrecking Ball, Paul Isadora, and we also had Mexican Werewolf, Chupacabra, and a guy named Frank Lee Gorgeous. And they all sort of ran training their own way. Actually, most recently, like the Wrestle Factory closed down for a bit, but then it was reopened as the Wrestling Academy of Reno by Brian Brigger, who you might remember as the original trainer of the Reno Scum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, never got to meet Brian personally, but I know he had a strong influence on those guys as well as Mustafa. Yeah. And then in turn, the guys from the Reno Wrestle Factory trained Dale and myself when we were involved in the NorCal wrestling scene. So Dale, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. What you got for Bison?
So what are some of the signature moves and that you like to use, and what do you like to put your opponent away with?
Well, my finisher lately is sort of it's like the Rainmaker setup into sort of a modified angle slam where I trap the arm. It's kind of hard to just explain with words. I'm big on like suplexes and sit out slams and just really anything as well that just makes a loud noise, because it seems like, people always react to that whenever you can really lay into someone and get a good sound out of it.
Good stuff. What's the name of that move that you have there, the Rainmaker into the angel or the angle slam?
Dude, I couldn't think of a good name for it. I was thinking about calling it the Widowmaker, but I know that was used by a WWE guy a while back in like 2004 or something.
Sean O'Hare, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Sean, unfortunately, he has left us as well, Spencer. Yeah. So I want to say, so I think it would almost kind of be paying tribute to him if you had the opportunity to name that move, the Widowmaker. So how did the tag team of the Rejects come to be with you and Joey Smoke?
That was pretty much Lester's idea. He just booked us as a tag team once. We were just doing a street fight with the Scum because Adam's ribs were hurting and he didn't want to do too much stuff, so we just did easy street fight stuff where we didn't have to bump too much, and it just kind of kept booking us like that locally for a while.
Mm-hmm. Now I noticed that you guys dropped Reno from the name because it was originally the Reno Rejects, and you now just named the Rejects. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, mainly just didn't want to localize our gimmick and want to make it more all encompassing. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Dale, what you got next for him?
So, well, obviously, had you left it the Reno Rejects, there would have been 3 teams that kind of have Reno in their name. Reno over everything, Reno Scum, Reno Rejects. But so of the other 2, because obviously you're one of them, which one would you prefer to face if you could? Obviously, you said a little bit about facing the Scum in a match that kind of formed your tag team. Would you have you had a chance to face them in an actual tag team match?
No, we haven't done regular with regular stipulations with the Scum or with Carl and Steicher. Me and Smoke have both sort of gone our separate ways as singles wrestlers as of late. I think now he's doing this gimmick inspired from the Junkyard Dog. He's the Junkyard Cat, Joey Smoke, and I just kind of stuck with the Reject gimmick.
Is he coming out with the chain around his neck and everything, or what's the deal with that?
No, he's just you just kind of see his gimmick. It's just kind of just how he dresses, all his gear is put together. It kind of he stitches all of his graphics onto his tights himself. Kind of janky like that.
All right, I'll have to check that out. If he gets down on all fours and he delivers the headbutts, man, I'm all for it. I gotta see that. So now, I've never quite considered myself as a juggalo, but I'm definitely a fan of Twisted. I know they're no longer with the label, but they were with Psychopathic Records for a long time alongside ICP. So I saw a list of the companies that you've had the opportunity to work for, and the one that really stood out for me is Juggalo Championship Wrestling. That is not something you see on many NorCal wrestlers' resumes. So tell me and tell everyone, how the hell did that come to be, man?
The OG Kevin Gill, I guess he had some talent that bailed on him for a Canadian Juggalo weekend or something in Calgary, and he needed some people to fill in for him. And Samurai just hit him up out of the blue, and I just saw Samurai post a status on Facebook. He's like, "Any NorCal wrestlers want to go wrestle with me in Canada? Because all of my guys bailed on me." And I DM'd him about it. I was like, how much do you think this is gonna pay, man? He's like, I don't really know, not a lot. And then that's when I realized it didn't really matter to me at the time, because it's like, man, I still really want to wrestle in Canada. And so it wound up being me, Chicano Flame, and the Sir Samurai, and we made the 24-hour trek out to Calgary.
Did they pay y'all with Fago or what?
No, they actually took care of us. Yeah, for us. And a funny story, we got stopped at the border, and like they go through like all your stuff at customs. They searched our car, and then I think Samurai kind of had like a freak out moment when it occurred to him that he had brass knuckles in the car just as a gimmick. And so they came back out to us and they were like, yeah, I went through all your stuff. The only thing that wasn't okay was the brass knuckles. Normally that'd be a $500 fine for each of you, but if you just sign them away to us, then you're good to go. It's like, cool, take them. We don't need them.
Wow. All that over a pair of brass knuckles. Now, with him carrying the name Sir Samurai, what if he had like a samurai sword or something on him?
Right.
How much of a fine would that carry, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be hard for that to slip his mind.
Dale, what you got next for him?
So you talked a little bit, obviously, at the beginning when we were talking about the Virgil things, about how he was helping you kind of work some face stuff. So which one do you kind of prefer? Do you kind of prefer working as the bad guy, or do you kind of like working as the fan favorite?
When I started out, I thought for sure I would just lean towards heel. And then when I first started working babyface at All Pro Wrestling, I realized it also came kind of naturally as well, just through selling and garnering sympathy. And at this point, I truly enjoy both of them. And I think it's good to embrace both of them as far as like promoting goes. Like if someone asks me if I'm a heel or a face, or like a booker, I'm like, I'm whichever you need me to be, man. I can do either one.
Mm-hmm. So now the next question I got for you, Bison, is who are some of your inspirations in the pro wrestling business? Like guys like who you grew up watching and whatnot, who you idolized as a youngster?
The biggest one for me, which like I originally wouldn't really talk about it in interviews because I feel like, it's kind of a stigma around it. But for me, I was just a huge Benoit guy. Like,
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say it. Because when I looked at the pictures of you, man, I kept on saying to myself, I was like, this dude reminds me of like a young Chris Benoit, like when he was Pegasus Kid. Was that what his name was in New Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I see it.
Yeah, man. Just like his intensity, man. I just like got behind it. And then like later on as I got older, I got like more into promo work from like a promo aspect. Like lately, I really love like The Miz on the mic. I really love that like clear, concise kind of promo, that more modern promo they do nowadays.
Yeah, Dale's a big Miz guy.
Yes,
yeah, definitely one of Dale's guys. So Dale, what you got next for him?
Well, I think one of the questions I want to know is like, where did we come up with your in-ring name? Where did that come from?
Oh, well, the last name Braddock was from a 1930s boxer named James J. Braddock. If you ever see the movie Cinderella Man, he was portrayed by Russell Crowe. I was just like thinking of like, I was really like mixing and matching like superhero names and like just trying to think of something I could take it from. I thought, oh, like that's one of my favorite movies. He's an admirable guy. So I thought I'd use the last name Braddock. And the name Bison was suggested to me by a guy named Lee Perfetto. And I originally just stuck with it because it sounded cool. And then Levi Shapiro pointed out to me about an APW graduate by the name of Bison Smith. And I looked into some of his stuff. I found out I could kind of double as a tribute to him as well. He's passed away early at heart complications, but very successful gaijin from what I understand as well.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Noah guy and an ROH guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Bison Smith was no joke. He actually used to use the Styles Clash.
Yeah, the Bison he called it or something.
No, I remember watching Bison Smith a little bit. So now this was just my assumption because, like I said, until you just explained it for us, Bison, I had looked at the Chuck Norris film Missing in Action 3 because the subtitle for that was Braddock. Because I don't really hear that used a whole lot. And then when I was thinking about Bison, I was just thinking about like M. Bison from Street Fighter or something like that. So I don't know, like, is that your thing at all? Like, are you into gaming at all or anything like that?
Not as much as I used to. I'm more of a casual gamer nowadays. Yeah, most of my time is just consumed by just like work and studying wrestling in the gym.
And it shows. It shows because, like I said, it's an uncanny resemblance when I saw that photo of you on the brown butter page that Corey runs. And I just said to myself, I was like, "Yep, I can see it." So now, if you could describe your in-ring style in just one word, what would it be?
I would say viciousness. I feel like Mustafa preaches that a lot. Like you don't necessarily have to be doing the most. You just have to make it look intense. You don't have to do like every move in the book to get over. Like Luster and Mustafa are both like a big preacher of less is more, make less mean more. So I'll go with viciousness. I think that's a good word.
All right, Dale, what you got next for him?
So, at the point you are now, if you could go back to you at the very first day you started, what advice would you give yourself?
I think because when I first started, I had no idea that it would wind up consuming my life as much as it has. Like I was sort of dipping my toes in the water. I was just like, oh, this might be like something to do. And I think if I had known like how much I would put into it now, I just would have said like, dude, like go all in. Cause I had all this other stuff like going on in my life and like all these other obligations. I was like, dude, you just devote all your time to this so I could get ahead way faster. If I had known that I was going to be this into it, then I would have just, I just would put allotted a lot more time to it.
All right, fair enough. So now this is a generic question, but I'm going to go ahead and put my own spin on it to make it a little bit more complicated for you, I guess, because we know that probably like 99.9% of people who enter the pro wrestling business, their end game is to make it to WWE and to make it to WrestleMania. So outside of WWE and WrestleMania, what would you say would be like your ultimate goal in the pro wrestling business? Like, would it be wrestling overseas in like say New Japan or like main eventing a show for ROH? What would your opportunity be?
For me, it's just like from a business standpoint, I'd like to be able to pay all my bills and live comfortably just through wrestling if possible. I think that's the biggest thing. I'd obviously love to travel overseas anywhere I can. I mean, obviously I went to Canada like practically just for like the novelty of going to Canada, but it was an awesome experience. But I think the biggest thing is just like building a brand and, becoming a name that people can like feel comfortable putting on their shows and just being able to pay my bills doing what I enjoy,
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Gotta pay them bills, man. You gotta keep the lights on and all that good stuff. Keep the water running. Dale, what you got next for him?
All right, so I'm going to ask a little bit. Like we've touched on, you said you're casual gamer, but most of your stuff is centered on professional wrestling. So, is there anything else that you got going on that isn't kind of wrestling related? Any other hobbies or interests?
Not really, man. Like, yeah, when people ask me like what I do when they find out I'm a wrestler and it's like, what do you like do for fun other than wrestling and working out? And I get nervous because I can't think of anything. That's literally all I do. I wake up, I cook, then I go to the gym. I come home, I cook a meal before I go to my day job, and then on the weekends I hit the road and wrestle. That's pretty much all I do.
What's your day job?
Oh, I work in casino security.
Oh, okay. Which casino?
Peppermill.
All right, very cool. Once the interview concludes, because I want to put her name on blast, I know someone who works there. I want to know if you guys possibly know each other.
Okay.
So now at this time, let's go ahead and let's get back to Virgil Flynn here. We would like for you to take this time to inform our guests how some of the members of our NorCal wrestling family are paying tribute to Virgil. And also who is donating the proceeds of the merchandise sales to Virgil's family, and also how the viewers of this program can be involved in that. So whatever information you have, Bison, would appreciate it.
All right. I know Shane Doc Atrocity. He's doing Virgil tribute tattoos, and any of the money for that goes to Virgil's family. I think it's Utopia Tattoo, if I'm remembering correctly. And got Adam Thornstowe and Legend, all of their merch sales for July and August, all of that's going to Virgil's family, as well as Brian Zane, Wrestling with Regret. He's doing the same thing with all his merch on Pro Wrestling Tees. And Luster's also running a show in Reno on August 25th. And all of the ticket sales and profit to that show is going to Virgil's family as well. I'm not going to be there because I'm booked at Best of the West that day. But definitely if you can make it, that's another way to help, support the family of Virgil Flynn.
Definitely. If anyone, would like to get involved, if you guys would like further information, please feel free to reach out to Dell and myself through our No Gimmicks Podcast page on Facebook, and we can provide you with more info. So, Dell, I'm going to go ahead and let you wrap this on up for us, man.
So, Bison, we appreciate you coming on the show. How is it that our viewers can stay in touch with you through social media?
My Instagram and Twitter, it's just Bison_Braddock. I'm not as active on my Twitter. It's mostly a link to my Instagram. I got a Facebook page. Just go Facebook/Bison Braddock, all one word. It seems like it's a lot harder to mark on the Facebook like page as opposed to other social medias, but you can go and like that as well. And I try to be as responsive to messages as I can.
Right on, man.
When is the next? When can we see you in the ring again?
Let's see. My next show, I'm coming back to SenCal Pro Wrestling in San Luis Obispo, August 29th. And then for the rest of August, I got Championship Wrestling from Arizona. Might be making an appearance on All Pro Wrestling, not sure yet. And another SenCal Pro on August 26th. And on August 25th, I'm wrestling Chris Masters at Best of the West.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Very nice. So, hey, one thing is for sure. We wish that we could sit up here and talk to my man Bison Braddock all night long, but unfortunately, we have came to the end of this episode of the No Gimmicks Podcast. So thank you for tuning in as we pay tribute to Virgil Flynn and also learn more about the career of Bison Braddock. We are No Gimmicks, No Image, all wrestling all the time. Please share, like, subscribe to our videos, and once again, rest in peace to Virgil Flynn.